In just 73 seconds, 3 words shattered everything FBI Director Kash Patel thought he knew about loyalty. His next sacrifice. Senator Cory Booker didn't raise his voice when he said it. He didn't need to, because in that Senate chamber, surrounded by cameras and witnesses, Patel's face did something he'd spent years training himself never to do. It revealed the truth. He knew Booker was right, and everyone watching saw it happen in real time. September 16th, 2025. Hart Senate Office Building, Room 216. The mahogany paneled chamber carried the weight of institutional power, every surface polished to reflect the harsh television lights that turned congressional hearings into national theater. FBI Director Kash Patel sat at the witness table with the posture of a man who had survived 4 brutal hours of political combat. His Navy suit remained crisp despite the pressure. His FBI badge gleamed under the lights. His expression, carefully controlled, revealed nothing. He had deflected attacks on the bungled Charlie Kirk assassination investigation. He had defended his controversial decision to reassign 1,000 FBI agents from counterterrorism to immigration enforcement. He had weathered accusations about the $60 million FBI jet he'd used for date nights with his girlfriend while federal employees went unpaid during the government shutdown. He had even survived questions about allegedly ordering FBI SWAT teams to drive his girlfriend's drunk friends home from Nashville bars. But he wasn't prepared for Senator Cory Booker. Across the chamber, the New Jersey Democrat sat with the calm of someone who had spent weeks preparing for this exact moment. Booker's prosecutorial background wasn't just resume decoration. It was a weapon he knew how to use with surgical precision. And today, he had assembled evidence that would systematically destroy the illusion Patel had built his entire career upon. That Donald Trump's loyalty was real, permanent, worth sacrificing everything for. What Patel didn't know was that Booker had studied Trump's pattern of abandoning loyalists who became liabilities. He had documented the trajectory, the rising star, the accumulating scandals, the anonymous sources questioning their judgment, the social media attacks, the abrupt firing, the claim of barely knowing them. Session after session, bar after bar, Kelly after Kelly. The pattern was consistent, predictable, inevitable, and Kash Patel was next. The chamber fell into an expectant silence as Booker leaned forward, his voice carrying the measured authority of someone delivering an uncomfortable truth rather than launching a political attack. Mr. Patel, Booker began, each word deliberate. I want to be direct with you about something that everyone in Washington understands, but nobody wants to say out loud. The opening was unusual, personal rather than procedural. Every camera in the room zoomed in on both men. Reporters in the press gallery leaned forward. This wasn't going to be routine oversight questioning. I think you're not going to be around much longer, Booker said, the prediction landing with the weight of documented certainty. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. For just a fraction of a second, Patel's carefully controlled expression flickered. It was subtle, barely perceptible, but trained observers saw it. The micro-expression of someone who had heard the rumor, but never expected it, stated so bluntly in public testimony. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. His hands, which had been resting calmly on the witness table throughout 4 hours of questioning, suddenly gripped the edges with white-knuckled intensity. Booker continued, building his case with the methodical precision of a prosecutor who knows the evidence is irrefutable. As much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Trump has shown repeatedly that he is not loyal to people like you. The phrase supplicate yourself was devastating. It painted Patel not as a law enforcement professional, but as a servile figure, desperate to please a master who would inevitably discard him. The characterization hung in the air, impossible to refute, because the evidence supporting it was overwhelming. Let me walk you through the pattern, Booker said, pulling out a document that would serve as the roadmap for Patel's inevitable destruction. Jeff Sessions, your predecessor as Trump's chosen law enforcement leader. He recused himself from the Russia investigation because it was the ethical thing to do, the legally required thing to do. And what happened? Trump turned on him, publicly humiliated him, called him weak, disloyal, a disappointment, forced him out. His crime? Following the law instead of protecting Trump. Patel shifted in his chair. The confidence that had carried him through 4 hours. The examples were damning precisely because they were undeniable. Every senator in that room, every reporter in the press gallery, every American watching at home knew Booker was describing documented reality. Trump's loyalty was conditional, temporary, transactional. It lasted exactly as long as you were useful and not a second longer. John Kelly, Reince Priebus, Rex Tillerson, James Mattis, John Bolton, Michael Cohen, Anthony Scaramucci. Booker rattled off the names like a prosecutor reading a list of victims. All of them thought their loyalty would be reciprocated. All of them believed that serving Trump faithfully would earn them protection. All of them discovered that Trump's loyalty flows in exactly one direction, toward himself. The chamber was silent except for Booker's voice and the mechanical sound of camera shutters, capturing Patel's increasingly uncomfortable expression. Even Republican committee members, who had spent the morning defending Patel's leadership, were silent. Because challenging Booker's facts would require defending the indefensible. Then Booker shifted tactics, moving from the general pattern to Patel's specific vulnerabilities, the mounting scandals that had transformed him from asset to liability. Director Patel, let's talk about why your position has become untenable. The word choice was clinical, analytical, devastating. Not why you're in trouble, not why Democrats oppose you, but why your position has become untenable. A statement of inevitable fact rather than political opinion. You used a $60 million FBI jet for date nights with your girlfriend, while FBI employees weren't getting paid during the government shutdown. When that became public, you claimed it was justified for security reasons. But FBI whistleblowers documented that you flew to Miami, Las Vegas, and Nashville for personal trips that had nothing to do with FBI business. Each word landed like a prosecutor reading charges to a jury. Patel's face had transitioned from confident to uncomfortable to visibly flushed. His carefully constructed defenses were being systematically dismantled with his own documented actions. You assigned FBI SWAT teams, elite counterterrorism agents trained to handle the most dangerous threats to national security as personal security for your girlfriend. And according to multiple FBI sources, you allegedly ordered those same agents to drive her intoxicated friends home from bars in Nashville. Is that what you meant by restoring the FBI's mission focus? The sarcasm was subtle but effective. Patel had campaigned for FBI director on promises of refocusing the Bureau on counterterrorism and violent crime. Instead, he had turned elite agents into his girlfriend's personal chauffeur service. You bungled the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation, Booker continued, his voice rising slightly with controlled anger. You prematurely announced an arrest on social media before the suspect was even in custody, creating mass confusion during a critical manhunt. You prioritized looking decisive over being accurate. And when the arrest turned out to be the wrong person, you blamed career FBI agents instead of taking responsibility. But Booker wasn't finished. He had saved the most damaging accusation for last. You personally promised, to release the Epstein files. You said transparency was your priority. You claimed the American people deserved the truth. And then what happened? You buried them. You sanitized them. You protected the powerful men whose names appear in those documents. And in doing so, you destroyed your credibility with the very MAGA base that celebrated your appointment. The mention of the Epstein files caused an immediate reaction throughout the chamber. This wasn't just about administrative misconduct or poor judgment. This was about systematic evidence suppression to protect powerful predators. And everyone knew it implicated Trump himself. Patel tried to interject, his voice carrying a defensive edge. Senator, that characterization is, I'm not finished, Director. And after he fires you and Director Patel, he will fire you. You'll be left defending decisions you made specifically to please him. Those FBI agents you fired for political reasons, they're filing lawsuits. Those Epstein files you buried, Congress will demand them. That FBI jet you used for personal travel, investigators will examine every single flight, and Trump won't defend you. He won't protect you. He'll throw you to the wolves and claim he barely knew you. The prophecy was brutal because it was based on irrefutable pattern. Every Trump loyalist who had fallen from grace had experienced exactly this trajectory. And everyone in that chamber, including Patel, knew Booker was describing inevitable reality rather than partisan speculation. At precisely 3:43 p.m., exactly 73 seconds after Booker had begun his systematic destruction of Patel's illusions, the senator delivered the line that would haunt Patel for the rest of his career. Director Patel, you're not his ally. You're not his partner. You're not even his employee. You're his next sacrifice. The three words landed like a physical blow. Next sacrifice. Not a loyal appointee, not a dedicated public servant, a sacrifice. Something to be used and discarded when convenient. Something disposable, temporary, ultimately meaningless beyond its utility. For 73 seconds, the chamber was absolutely silent. No shuffling papers, no whispered conversations, no camera clicks. Just silence as everyone present watched Kash Patel's face do something he had spent his entire career learning never to do. It revealed the truth. His eyes, which had been carefully controlled throughout 4 hours of testimony, suddenly showed something that looked like recognition, not anger, not defiance, but recognition. The look of someone who had been avoiding an uncomfortable truth, suddenly forced to confront it in public, on camera, with no escape route available. His mouth opened slightly as if to respond, but no words came out. His hands, still gripping the edge of the witness table, had gone completely white from pressure. His jaw, carefully set throughout the hearing, had gone slack. The confident FBI director who had entered the chamber 4 hours earlier had been replaced by someone who looked like they'd just seen their future written in stone. Reporters would later describe it as the moment Patel broke. Political analysts would call it 73 seconds that ended a career. But what everyone watching recognized in real time was simpler and more devastating. They had just witnessed the exact moment when Kash Patel realized Senator Cory Booker was absolutely right. Trump would sacrifice him. It was inevitable. And resisting that reality was pointless. Booker, recognizing the impact of his words, pressed forward with something that almost resembled sympathy. "I'm not your enemy, Director. I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm trying to wake you up before it's too late." The gentleness in Booker's voice made the message even more devastating. This wasn't a political attack. This was a warning from someone who had watched this pattern destroy careers, reputations, lives. Someone who genuinely seemed to want to prevent Patel from becoming the next victim of a pattern everyone recognized but nobody could stop. You've sacrificed your integrity for someone who will sacrifice you without a second thought. The question isn't whether it will happen. The question is whether you'll realize it before or after he destroys you. Patel finally found his voice, but his response was weak, defensive, exactly what Booker had anticipated. "Senator, that rant of false information does not bring this country together. I serve the Constitution. I serve the American people. I serve the FBI. My record speaks for itself." The response only reinforced Booker's point. Patel couldn't deny the scandals. He couldn't defend the jet abuse, the SWAT team misuse, the bungled investigations, the buried Epstein files. So he retreated into vague platitudes about service and unity, the last refuge of someone with no substantive defense. "Your record does speak for itself," Booker replied, his voice hardening again. "It speaks of someone so desperate to please Donald Trump that you've compromised every principle the FBI is supposed to represent. You've shifted agents from counterterrorism to immigration enforcement because Trump wanted it. You've fired career agents who investigated Trump because he wanted it. You've buried evidence in the Epstein case because Trump's name appears in those files and he wanted it hidden." The chamber erupted. Republican members objected, trying to protect their embattled FBI director from this systematic destruction. But Booker had the floor, and he wasn't yielding it. "So let me ask you directly," Booker said, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Why are you doing this? Why are you sacrificing your integrity, your reputation, your career for someone who has shown repeatedly, documentably, undeniably that he will sacrifice you the moment it becomes convenient?" The hearing also exposed a fundamental weakness in Patel's position. He had built his entire career on loyalty to Trump rather than institutional competence. When Trump's loyalty inevitably wavered, Patel would have nothing to fall back on. No respect from career FBI agents. No credibility with congressional oversight committees. No reputation for independence or integrity. Just a resume that read, "Loyal to Trump until Trump decided I wasn't useful anymore." Perhaps most significantly, Booker's warning changed the fundamental dynamic of Patel's relationship with Trump. By publicly predicting Trump would abandon him, Booker had made that abandonment more likely. Trump, always attuned to political perception, would see Patel not as a loyal ally, but as someone widely perceived as weak, temporary, finished. And in Trump's world, perceptions became self-fulfilling prophecies. In the weeks following the hearing, evidence mounted that Booker's 73-second prophecy was becoming reality. Reports surfaced of FBI officials being quietly contacted about their interest in leadership positions. Anonymous sources claimed Trump was compiling a short list of potential Patel replacements. The White House began referring questions about FBI leadership to the Justice Department rather than defending Patel's tenure. Most tellingly, Patel's own behavior changed. His social media presence, previously bombastic and confident, became defensive and sparse. His public appearances decreased dramatically. He looked, in the words of one political analyst, like a man who knows he's been fired but hasn't received the official notification yet. The lesson wasn't lost on other Trump appointees throughout the administration. Booker had demonstrated with clinical precision that loyalty to Trump was not a shield, but a liability. That the moment you became associated with scandal or controversy, Trump would protect himself by sacrificing you. It was a warning that resonated through an administration built on personal loyalty rather than institutional principle. Sometimes the most devastating congressional testimony isn't about what someone did wrong. It's about forcing them to confront an inevitable future they've been desperately avoiding. Senator Cory Booker had done exactly that. Not through aggressive interrogation or partisan attack, but through calm, methodical analysis of an undeniable pattern. And in just 73 seconds, with 3 simple words, his next sacrifice, he had changed the trajectory of Kash Patel's career by making explicit what everyone already knew but nobody had stated so bluntly. Patel's usefulness to Trump was running out, and when that usefulness expired, Trump would discard him like he had discarded every other loyalist who became a liability. The only question remaining was whether Patel would recognize this reality soon enough to salvage something from his career, or whether he would cling to the illusion of Trump's loyalty until the very moment it was publicly, irrevocably withdrawn. Based on his reaction in those 73 seconds, the recognition in his eyes, the collapse of his confident facade, the visible realization that Booker was absolutely right, everyone watching knew the answer. Kash Patel already knew he was finished. He just didn't know how to admit it yet.